Hey guys, this is a bit of a different video than what I would normally do. I'm filming this Tuesday night, and normally I would have a video up for y'all every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but today was a little bit chaotic. I got called into work when I didn't think I was going to, and I planned on making a bunch of videos today, but I just didn't really have a lot of time, and I'm also quite tired. So today's video is going to be sort of just a very random, very kind of rambly talk about rereading. I basically just want to have a discussion with y'all about rereading because probably if you would have asked me a few years ago, I would have said, oh, I really don't have time to reread. I have so many books and series that I want to get to now that I haven't read. But the past few years, and especially this year, I have been doing a lot of rereading. And I'm just interested to get y'all's opinion about rereading. Like, do y'all reread, or do y'all try to exclusively read new books or new to you books? I was, like a few years ago, like I said, I didn't really thought I had time to reread. But this past year or so, I've really been enjoying rereading. And the more I think about it, it's almost like going back to like one of your favorite TV shows or one of your favorite movies, right? There's like shows and movies that we can watch over and over again. So why can't we do the same with books? Like, I've seen probably every episode of Family Guy at least 10 times. I've rewatched that show so many times, but it's something that I can go back to again and again. And I feel the same way with books too, because I'm currently rereading A Storm of Swords, my old beat up copy. This is probably the third or fourth time that I've read this book, but I enjoy it so much, and I'm like, I don't know, probably a third of the way into it. My all-time favorite series, and I like rereading it. And yeah, I'm just very curious to get y'all's opinion on rereading. How much do you do it? How often do you do it? Is it something that you enjoy? Is it something that you look forward to? Very curious. I've just been thinking about it a lot because I've been looking at my stats for my reading for this year. I've read a lot of books, but I would say almost, if not at least half of them, have been rereads. I've been rereading a lot of Stephen King just because I've done my Patreon thing where every month Patreons get to vote on which Stephen King book they want me to read and review for the channel. So I've been rereading basically, a Stephen King book a month, along with Dark Tower. I'm rereading Dark Tower. I'm currently on book 6. I've taken little breaks from it here and there. I should have probably already finished it, but I'm on Song of Susanna. And on top of that, me and Josephina have been reading Richard Bachman books. All of them have been rereads for me. Some of them have been rereads for her. But that's a lot of Stephen King. And on top of that, I've been rereading the short stories for the Stephen King Short Story Book Club. So just been rereading a ton of Stephen King. Most of it I have enjoyed immensely because he's my second favorite author of all time, just behind George R. R. Martin. And speaking of George R. R. Martin, I've reread the first 2 books, and now I'm getting back into rereading the third book and very much enjoying it. And I plan on rereading books 4 and 5 sometime this year. Probably not in October, because that's when the Stephen King readathon takes place. And if you don't know what that is, I will of course link the video down below so you can go join that on my Discord server. And what else have I reread? I've reread all of the John Cleaver books, one of my all-time favorite series. I just reread the 6th and final book like a few days ago, and yeah, that series is so good. Narrated by one of my all-time favorite audiobook narrators, Kirby Hayborn. John Cleaver is just one of my favorite protagonists, easily top 10. And I've reread all of Sylvain Neuvel's books, The Themis Files, and The Test, which is a little novella, and A History of What Comes Next. And I also read the sequel. And probably next year, when the sequel for that trilogy comes out, the final book, I will reread A History of What Comes Next, the sequel, and then the third book. That also is something that I do a lot when new books are coming out. I tend to, like new books in a series, I tend to reread the series as a whole because I have book amnesia and I can't remember everything that happens in a book. So a few years ago, when Rhythm of War came out, the fourth Stormlight Archive book, I reread Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, and Oathbringer, so I could kind of refresh everything. And I'm probably going to have to do the same thing when the fifth book comes out. I think it was supposed to come out next year, but I think it's going to be a couple of years now because he's backed up with all the secret projects he's been working on. And speaking of Sanderson, I'm also rereading Mistborn Era 2. I've reread Alloy of Law, Shadows of Self, and probably in November, right before the fourth and final book comes out, I will be rereading The Bands of Mourning, and then I will read The Lost Meadow, which is book 4 in Era 2 when that comes out. And yeah, so I tend to do that. What do you guys do? Do you guys have a better memory than me? Can you guys just jump into a sequel and not even, have to refresh? I certainly can't. Not only can't I do that, I just enjoy rereading my favorite books. And whenever Winds of Winter does come out, I will again reread the series. Hopefully that will come out soon, George. And then when you talk about rereads, oftentimes you have comfort reads, just books that you read every so often or even every year that just, brings you all the good feelings in your heart when you read them. And for me, that's definitely Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie by Jordan Sonnenblick. I first read that in middle school because was just starting to learn to play drums. And of course, with a title like Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie, you think, oh, this is going to be a very fun book. And it is, but you get into it and you realize that the character's younger brother, has leukemia. And it takes a lot of dark turns, and for a middle grade book, it gets very dark and very depressing. And every time I've reread that book in various stages of my life, I've gotten something new out of it every time. So that's a book that I love to reread around my birthday every year. It's super short. I can get through it in a day. And yeah, I love rereading that book. I will be rereading it in November, and not probably, Stacy will be here in November, so I will probably read that book to her, or read it together, because I want to share one of my favorite books with her. And yeah, that's definitely a book that I love to reread every year. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else that I reread this year. I also reread The Gentleman Bastards series by Scott Lynch, which, of course, one of my all-time favorite fantasy series, and that was an instance where I remember just loving those books so much, but a lot of it, I read those books like so long ago, probably 6 years ago, maybe even longer. Oh man, but a lot of it I did remember, but there was just so many like small and intricate details and character moments that I had forgotten over the years. So jumping back into that and getting, Michael Page's brilliant narration of the series was just so good. Lies of Locke Lamora is still a top 10 book for me. And Red Seas Under Red Skies and Republic of Thieves, just some of the best sequels ever. I still love Lies of Locke Lamora, The Lies of Locke Lamora. I still enjoyed that one just ever so slightly more, but they're all 5 stars and they're just so good. Just some of the best rereading that I've done. And I've also reread a few books with Stacy. We've been going on Discord and doing video chats and reading each other books. Some of them like she has, and some of them I have. I actually reread a couple of books to her, which was fun because I knew what was going to happen and she didn't. The first one was You Love Me by Caroline Kepnes, which is the third Joe Goldberg series. So she already knew, who the character was and everything. And that's probably my favorite Joel Goldberg book. So reading that to her was especially fun because if you don't know, that series is written in kind of a unique way where it's written in first person from Joel Goldberg, but he's like speaking as if he's speaking to the woman that he's like stalking or the woman that he's obsessed with. So it's like, oh, you did this and you did that. So that was kind of fun to read to Stacy in that and have a lot of fun with that. That was really fun. I also reread Sphere. I read that to her, and that was fun because that was her very first Michael Crichton book. And Michael Crichton, definitely one of my favorite authors. Sphere is probably my favorite by him. It's definitely top 3, but it's really good. And that was another instance where I couldn't remember everything that happened. I just remembered the major events, so that was a lot of fun. And getting her reactions from everything that all the crazy stuff that was happening was a lot of fun. So yeah, rereading can be a very fun experience, and yeah, definitely this year I've reread so much. I think next year, even though I do love rereading, I'm gonna try to focus on newer books. I think it'll help too because next year I'm not gonna read nearly as much Stephen King. Like this year has just been like crazy amount of Stephen King. Next year I'm going to try to focus on new to me books and newer books. So hopefully I can knock out a lot of my unread physical TBR and audio TBR. But yeah, rereading is just so much fun. And like I said, it can be just like rewatching an old favorite movie or an old favorite TV show. Like going back and listening to Storm of Swords and doing immersion reading for this series is just so much fun because like you already know what's going to happen, but it's just so comfort. Like this is a comfort read for me, just to go back and get into the minds of all these brilliant characters again. It's just so much fun, and I just want to know what y'all think about rereading. So I think I've rambled on long enough here. Let me know if you guys like this kind of video. It's definitely going to be way easier to edit than most of my videos are. And like I said, I'm filming this Tuesday night. I can just, slap this together and put it out for y'all tomorrow. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And if you do, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And I also have my Bookish Discord, where of course the Stephen King readathon will take place in the month of October. So sign up before September 30th. That's when the cutoff for signing up is. So yeah, go do that. I also have my Patreon if you'd like to go support me there. I have my Amazon wish list if anyone would like to buy me a book. But yeah, just let me know what you guys think about rereading in general, and let me know what you guys think of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a fantastic day.